Back4Blood is Turtle Rock Studios' second attempt at breaking into the co-op shooter market independent of Valve, with their first attempt being the infamous game known as Evolve. This time, Turtle Rock has gone back to its roots to the zombie shooter genre, hoping to recapture Left 4 Dead's magic and improve on the formula. With a £50 asking price and a battle pass, all combined with Turtle Rock's own rocky track record, the question is, are Turtle Rock really back for blood, or should they go back to the drawing board? So, let's look at what Turtle Rock have done right here. The game can be fun to play most of the time, especially when you have friends involved. Within the game, there are a wide range of weapons to play with that fit within different categories, some having their own variations as well. It splits these weapons over 4 different ammo pools. You have pistol and SMG ammo, sniper ammo, rifle ammo, and shotgun shells. Firearms will feel sufficiently weighty for most players, however you will find some firearms are surprisingly easy to handle despite what types of weapons they are. The weapon system is also supplemented with an attachment system. This allows you to directly improve the stats of the firearms you are currently using. Both weapons and attachments have rarities, which affects what stats they give. It puts the weapon system a little at odds with itself, because high quality attachments can improve low quality weapons to the point where they are better than higher rarity weapons, and as you can't take your attachments with you as you swap weapons, you end up having to make this difficult choice. Do you abandon a good weapon because of its attachments in hope of getting similar attachments later on in the run, or do you take a weapon that performs less well at the moment in exchange for the chance of having those higher attachments on a better performing base gun? If you're familiar with Left 4 Dead, then you'll already be familiar with most of Back4Blood's offensive equipment, minus firecrackers and barbed wire, both of which are relatively self-explanatory. One improvement made to the game, however, is that when aiming you can now see the radius of the effects of your grenades, as well as being able to use healing items while moving. These little improvements allow you to make better decisions on the fly, and allow your equipment to be much more diverse in timings of usage. With a campaign currently known as Copper, you can buy this equipment as well as ammo at the beginning of each level. This allows you to have a proper equipment set going into a level to allow you to have some degree of consistency of performance early on. With 8 unique characters, each with their own stats and abilities, combined with a roguelike deck system, you can create builds within the game to improve certain aspects of your fighting style, or cover your weaknesses if you feel necessary. The decks you build are selectable in the order you built them, allowing you to stack the deck in your favour. 2 nice additions to the campaigns now are that the host can save a campaign midway through, so you can bring your friends along, quit the campaign early, and still be able to carry the missions on from the same point as last time, allowing you to complete the campaign in your own time. That and crossplay is now available, so if you have friends on either PlayStation or Xbox, you will be able to join them together in taking on the zombie hordes. Sadly, that is the end of all the good things I can say about this game. And oh boy, where do I even begin with this half-baked mess? Let's start with the AI, as that feels like that's where the corners have been cut the most. The AI is honestly one of the worst AI I've ever seen in a video game. You could throw a brick at its head and the brick would break due to just how dense these things are. They will run out of ammo and stare at the enemy, not knowing what to do next. They will run off the edges of the map, needing to be rescued and pulled up. If you get stuck with a hocker pin, good luck, because they will just waddle up to you and stare at your feet, getting beat on, not knowing how to free you. They will happily shoot you, or into walls. Why they do that, I do not know. Luckily, they don't do any damage to you, even on the higher difficulties, but it is already hard enough to tell where you're getting hurt from in the game as is, and they're certainly not helping. They will teleport to the host constantly if they're 20 meters or more away, which means they often end up teleporting in front of your guns while firing. This is incredibly frustrating, as not only does it make your bullets do less damage to the ridden in front of you, but also the game will have a go at you for shooting friendlies. They even get on top of the miniguns that you use, and will stand on them and not fire them at all, so if you see them, rip them straight off and get on yourself, because they are honestly worthless on there. If you have 2 bots on your team and you're playing on anything higher than easy, please go find another lobby, because you will have a terrible time. They are useless dead weight that do nothing to help you. Me and a friend ended up downing them constantly in intense firefights to gain the bonuses from my perk deck, which we used to abuse the fact that down friendlies would give us more damage and more ammunition. You can take over the bots if you're dead, or if you joined a lobby midway, but please be warned, you will be given their starter loadout as opposed to what they currently have equipped. This means you're going to be incredibly under-equipped, and in some places, you just have completely useless weapons. Being given a machete midway through a mission with no perks and no other equipment leaves you as just dead weight to your team again, and you will not have a fun experience. There have even been cases where I've managed to join a game midway and taken over a bot, being given a different character skill set altogether. For instance, I took over a Hoffman bot, who is known for giving his team extra ammo capacity. However, I got Mum's abilities, which instead improved my healing and gave me an instant resurrection ability. That should not be happening in a fully polished game. Speaking of joining a campaign midway, the game has a number of bugs and issues that will shaft you for joining a match. I've seen players getting spawned at the start of the map and have to wander their way slowly over to the rest of us. The game just sometimes forgets to give you money or guns at the beginning, which means that if you've joined halfway through, you can be super unequipped and not even being able to buy a gun at the spawn. I've even had my deck taken away and replaced with the same 4 basic stat cards of health, ammo capacity, stamina, and some other generic stat that I've completely forgotten because it was just so frustrating. So far, the multiplayer has felt rather undercooked at the moment. I give it some benefit of the doubt and say that due to it being a beta, they most likely didn't run a dedicated server setup, meaning that it was primarily peer-to-peer. However, from my experience so far, there's been lots of rubber banding, queue times to start your own campaign are incredibly high for some reason, quick joining campaigns is fast, but you will often get thrown in midway, and I've never seen other people join campaigns midway through, other than myself. It will also sometimes place you in a match on its last retry, with nothing to live to spawners, and I've just sat there and waited for the lobby to close because the players died and we had no chance to play the game up until that point because there were no bots alive to spawn with. The game's map design is also rather lacking. It likes to put you into close-up environments, which makes it hard to exploit certain enemy types' weaknesses. While this isn't a big issue on its own, there's a house in the campaign which spawns nests. When you destroy said nests, you get attacked by waves. The problem is, the waves will spawn inside the house with you. This has created incidents in the past for me and for my allies, in which we've had brawlers and other high damage specials spawn on top of us, literally causing instant death. Sometimes we even had our backs straight up to the wall, so there's no way they should have been able to spawn there in the first place. Map-specific events are often lackluster as well. One example is upon blowing up the bridge in the first section's finale of Act 1. You see a rather dull-looking explosion, and the ship just remains there floating as it fades to black. They didn't even bother putting in an animation to make it sink. Another would be in which the ogre chases you through a tunnel. I say chase, but I've yet to play with a group who've managed to get into the tunnel before the ogre is closed in, due to the fact that there's a large group of ridden in the entrance, making it incredibly risky to push it. Instead, every group I play with has just fallen back to the spawn area and kited it in the garden. The ogre's AI will just target the last person who shot it, making it super easy to abuse and make it just walk in circles. Overall, the map designs are just not that visually interesting, and some of the maps feel very familiar to Left 4 Dead's maps. One of the game's biggest selling points was its infinite replayability through the corruption card system they had created, a series of random and stacking negative effects designed to make the game harder as you get stronger. Sounds good, right? As of the beta so far, the cards have been rather uninteresting, primarily being made up of make X enemy tougher and deal more damage, or armour up the weakest points of certain mutations. There are secondary objectives, but they all seem to be one of 3 things. Take an item through the level and earn bonus money, don't set off any alarms throughout the level and earn bonus money, or speedrun the mission for bonus money. These are rather uninteresting and they can be broken by the hostile AI screwing them up for you. I've had an incident on one map where the ridden broke through an alarmed door before we'd even managed to reach that section of the map. This instantly failed our Silencer's Gold and No Alarms challenge, losing us precious coppers throughout that mission. Whilst I earlier praised the game for its guns feeling rather weighty, I cannot say the same for their effect on the enemy, or for the equipment. Explosions will often lead to large groups of ridden just collapsing in heaps. makes hockers and stingers in trees or on walls die as if they were stood on solid ground. Large enemies have no weight as they go down. This helps make all your kills feel really dissatisfying and hollow, especially when you compare it to that of its peers. This is also reflected in the way enemies move, as they often teleport around, warp, slide across the map at high speeds, or just turn on the dime when being shot at. The balance of this game just feels really whack too. The scaling from easy to medium is extreme. It's like going to a poolside diving pool one day and then going tombstoning the next. Certain playstyles are only viable with specific perk decks. Melee is a great example of this, as you can just flail about within a horde normally, but given enough perks, you will be an unstoppable killing machine until a special comes along. Speaking of the specials, most of them feel like they take way too much damage. Even the dainty little hockers and the annoying snitches require way too much lead down range. Even when you hit their weak spots, this still remains the case sometimes. This just makes them very annoying to deal with, and ammo sinks mostly. Specials are split into families of several variants, but they are so visually similar it can be hard to tell some of them apart in a pinch. This is really unhelpful in an already chaotic game, packed to the brim with enemies on screen. The trauma system, a system designed to lower your health pool in response to certain damage or going down, can also be rather extreme at times. In the closed beta, there is barely any health pool stations whatsoever, preventing you from healing your trauma. However, during the open beta, the amount of them on the map seems to have improved. The game master itself feels like it's always stuck at either 0 or 100, spawning huge amounts of waves of enemies with loads of specials, or absolutely nothing at all. At worst, I've seen around 6 to 7 specials spawn with a large wave of ridden, and that has been a game over several times because of that. With only 3 retry tokens for an entire campaign, and some missions feeling unnecessarily long, if your game master gets stuck to 100, I wish you luck. All these things, along with the issues displayed on screen at the moment, have all really detracted from my experience of this game so far. So, with all that out of the way, you probably think I hate this game. Well, I don't hate it, but I am very torn on it. See, I went into this skeptically. I didn't see Turtle Rock selling this game on their previous glories for developing Left 4 Dead as a good sign for this product. Because of that, I was surprised both ways. However, I am more concerned now than ever due to 2 major reasons. On launch, this game will have a battle pass with character skins and news that new characters are coming on later down the line. When you combine this with the fact that to get new cards, you have to spend in-game currency through the supply line system to gain them, everything seems like it's ringing alarm bells for saying this will have premium currencies and better equipment for paying customers. I cannot help but be concerned that this will be monetized like a free-to-play game, and that is a big problem if this is a £50 release from the get-go. Secondly, the game is 2 months away from launch. 2 months. This game isn't finished. It's nowhere near finished. You will probably be looking 6 months down the line, maybe a year, before the game is in an acceptable state from launch, and even then, that may not even address some of the core issues with the game. I just have a hard time believing this is from the same people who made one of the best zombie shooter games in the genre. Overall, if I'm being fair, I'm gonna give this game a 6 out of 10 due to the fact that they do have a decent starting point. However, there are just too many flaws in the game currently to give it any higher score. I want to be able to recommend it, but I just can't due to just how many issues this has. That combined with the fact that Turtle Rock don't exactly have a good track record thanks to Evolve. This marketplace just has better games out there already, and I beg you to go look at them instead, because right now, not only are they available to be played currently, they are cheaper and they overall have better experiences.